2.2.2 Communicational Learning Objectives. This section considers how communication should be conducted if the project is to successfully take account of stakeholders' requirements. There are different communication methods to be considered and documented in a communication plan for the project. By the time you have studied this section, you will have completed the following Learning Outcome Assessment Criteria. 9. Understand communication in the context of a project. 9.1 Define the term communication. 9.2 Outline the advantages of different communication methods including face-to-face, physical and virtual. 9.3 Outline the disadvantages of different communication methods including face-to-face, physical and virtual. 9.4 Outline the contents of a communication plan. 9.5 Explain the benefits, to a project manager, of a communication plan. The term communication is the process of exchanging information and confirming there is shared understanding. The ability to communicate is a core skill for people working in projects, to ensure objectives and requirements are understood, plans and benefits are shared, stakeholders are aligned, teams are motivated and knowledge is embedded. Notes advantages and disadvantages of different communication methods. Communication takes many forms, and effective communicators consider not only the message they want to pass on, but also the method medium for communicating the message. Decisions about communication methods are made in the context of the target audience, the intended impact and the risks, potential and intended consequences of the approach. Many factors affect the success of communication, from cultural influences to the mood in the team to the method of communication chosen and the language used. Project professionals can choose to use written words and symbols, voice and nonverbal signals including body language when communicating. In face-to-face communication including video and vlogs, nonverbal communication can have more of an impact than the words used, so being able to control nonverbal signals and create a coherent message is vital. Where face-to-face communication is not possible, there are advantages and disadvantages. For example, it can be advantageous to be on a conference call if the group is working through feedback in a document, as more focus can be given to the words used and the format of the written information, without worrying about visual clues. A disadvantage is that virtual communication runs the risk of the sentiment underpinning what is said being misunderstood. Physical nonverbal communication includes facial expressions, the tone and pitch of the voice, and gestures displayed through body language. Symbols, signs and gestures can also be regarded as physical communication skills. An advantage of physical communication is that important communication messages can be emphasized by aspects such as facial expressions and the variations in the tone and pitch of the voice. A disadvantage of this type of communication is that the recipient may misinterpret the communication clues, leading to the wrong message being conveyed. Different cultures also have different ways of interpreting physical communication. There have been a number of cases where a communication sign has been used to convey a positive message only to be received by different cultures as a grave insult. Care should be taken to fully understand the extent of use of physical communication, and ensuring that the message conveyed is in fact the message that is most likely to be received. If the project requires working with virtual teams, there are particular skills needed to ensure that communication between team members is efficient and effective. For example, the ability to include everyone who needs to be involved on a virtual call simultaneously. The contents of a communication plan. An effective communication plan will seek to form an engagement strategy as a result of suitable analysis, by answering some of the following questions. Sense what particular message should be communicated to this particular stakeholder. Sense who, in the project organization, is best placed to carry out this communication. Sense what form of message medium or method will motivate the stakeholder to engage the most. When and how often should communication take place? What form of feedback can be solicited or expected? Sense what barriers can be proactively identified and acted upon prior to communication taking place. Which stakeholders should not communicate with each other. The communication plan allows the essential interactions to take place that are deemed necessary to motivate those stakeholders whose support is needed to achieve the desired outcomes. Putting in effort to analyze stakeholders' points of view has the dual benefit of building understanding of the issues and developing positive relationships. Managing stakeholders' influence relies on those relationships being maintained, and can only realistically be achieved through having an effective communications plan. Benefits to a project manager of a communication plan. Effective communication plans include ways to receive feedback and measure effectiveness so that plans can be adjusted to have maximum impact. Taking the time to develop an effective communication plan will yield the following benefits. The most appropriate communication medium is used. Choosing the most appropriate medium for delivery of a message is vital to that message being received and understood by stakeholders. The communication plan will consider which medium is best for which situation and stakeholder. For example, avoiding over-reliance on electronic forms of communication, which can lead to misunderstanding and conflict. Sends more focused communication to stakeholders. Avoiding mass communication, where receivers are swamped with information, only some of which might be relevant to them. Instead, messages are planned and tailored to convey the communicator's meaning as accurately as possible to the target audience. If the right information is provided at the right time, messages are then more likely to be read by the intended recipients. Sends more consistent communication. When communication is planned in advance, all messages will be delivered using a framework that has been agreed and approved. This could, for example, involve the assigning of specific responsibilities for communication in the project. The result is that stakeholders do not receive conflicting messages from different areas of the project. No. Since communication can be systematically improved by ensuring that free-flowing feedback channels are planned into the communication structure, communication barriers can be identified, allowing improvement actions to be proactively taken to ensure that barriers are eliminated, and communication can be conducted more effectively. Since greater adherence to the organization's governance and standards. It is important to adhere to any protocols or standards for communication that are developed in the organization for effective communication to take place. The communication plan will take account of any norms in the particular organization and so circumvent avoidable communication errors, potential conflict or security breaches. Understanding how communication can be affected by a range of factors will ensure that the project manager seeks to proactively manage these factors as much as possible prior to the communication taking place. By doing this, the communication plan for the project will increase the chances of achieving effective engagement, which in turn improves the chance of achieving objectives by having a positive influence on stakeholders' behaviors. Think about a situation where communication was required. Was the exchange successful? Write below what made it successful, and what could have been done to improve the communication opportunity. No factors leading to success, failure, improvement ideas. Read about the world of project management. Nuclear decommissioning agent Sellafield Limited has used effective no communication planning, when communicating a positive message, to attract the best talent to fulfill its task. To deal with the nuclear waste fuel legacy itself, a 100-year decommissioning project in Cumbria, but at the same time reduce Cumbria's dependency on Sellafield, as the main employer for the area. Neil Crudson, head of project management and capabilities at Sellafield, comments on how Honda has implemented a major plant shutdown in Swindon, and he draws parallels with Sellafield's current task. Null. If you would like to read more about this example or other real-world project examples, copies of APM's project journal can be downloaded from the Members Resources area of the APM website, org project. Merskill and Invest. Neil says that a priority for the project managers handling the closure is to rebuild some confidence in the mission of finishing the production of the Honda Civic, and to see it out with pride. We did something similar, he says. A large part of Sellafield was about reprocessing, and that's been the business for the last 50 years. The first plant shut down last year, and we tried to instill a sense of finishing our mission with pride. But, Crudson says, it is easier for us at Sellafield because, for the next 10 to 20 years, we don't foresee any redundancies. What we do see is a massive reskilling and retraining program, and help finding employment and weaning the area off Sellafield. When we've faced downturns, We've done recruitment days for all large industries that want our skills. Sellafield expects gradual reduction in 20 years' time, and is already investing in developing new facilities in the local community to house and encourage new startups and entrepreneurial businesses. In terms of handling the media, Crewdson says Sellafield now prefers to enlist the help of advocates, such as Sellafield's apprentices, to talk about the site, rather than using nuclear industry experts to get their messages across. People don't trust people in white coats anymore, they moved away from deferring to experts. It also pays to be open in communicating with the national media. We really try to be very transparent, Crewdson says. Originally published in Project Summer 2019. Null.